Single dad discovers his amazing first love at parent-teacher night. She's now a surprising CEO. Tom stepped into the school gymnasium, the aroma of popcorn mingling with the faint scent of crayons tickling his nose. Among the bustling crowd of parents and teachers, he felt like a relic of another time, a small-town mechanic in overalls with grease still lingering under his nails. And then he saw her, Sarah, his high school sweetheart. She stood among a polished group of parents, her fiery red hair now sleek and sophisticated. Laughter bounced around the room like the echoes of their past, but here, Tom felt exposed, underprepared. Would she remember him as the guy who strayed from ambition to become the dad he had vowed to be? Their eyes met, and memories crashed back, a whirl of teenage dreams, laughter shared on endless summer nights. Yet now, she was a thriving CEO, and he was just a single parent, balancing Lily's school art projects with greasy engines. Anxiety clawed in his chest as he approached her. "Hey, Sarah." The words felt foreign, heavy with years of distance. "Tom. I barely recognized you." Her smile was warm, but a flicker of concern danced in her eyes. They exchanged pleasantries, but beneath the smiles, the tension mounted. Would she care that his life revolved around pancake breakfasts and bike rides? That every dollar he earned was for Lily's future, not for climbing the corporate ladder? The conversation quickly grew deeper, revealing cracks in her polished facade. "Work's been intense," she confessed, glancing towards the crowd as if expecting the walls to close in. "We're dealing with some serious challenges." Her voice trembled slightly, the reality of balancing her high-powered career and a sense of duty to her community exposing a vulnerability Tom recognized. They were both fighting their own battles, albeit in drastically different arenas. As they talked, Tom felt a pull toward her struggles, a kinship that sparked hope amidst the flurry of insecurities. Could he help her navigate this minefield? But what about Lily? His heart raced, caught between the desire to support Sarah and the relentless duty to raise his daughter alone. Would stepping into her mess mean neglecting the nurturing world he had meticulously built for Lily? He struggled to answer that question as time passed in a blur. "Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen." Now let's continue. Then, in the middle of their exchange, whispers rippled through the crowd. A rumor blossomed, a scandal threatening to destroy Sarah's company. Tom watched as the weight of potential betrayal stole the light from her eyes. He felt an urgent need to pull her out of the storm swirling around her. But what if he failed in doing so? What if his efforts distracted him from attending to the vibrant spirit demanding his attention at home? Tension knotted in his stomach as he contemplated how one reckless decision could tip the scales. While old feelings bloomed, fear stifled their growth. And just as he worked up the courage to speak, a loud crash echoed from the kitchen of his mind, the clang of Lily's art project collapsing, the very symbol of his life's focus splintering behind closed doors. He could hear her gasp, see her wide eyes, and in that moment, Tom felt the conflicting weight of potential love and the unwavering pull of fatherhood haunt him. He was left at a crossroads, unsure of where to turn when everything he cherished dangled precariously in a balance he had fought so hard to secure. Tom felt a lump in his throat as he excused himself from the conversation. The air was thick with uncertainty. Between the chaos of rumors and the soft echoes of memories, he was treading in two worlds that felt irrevocably fractured. He had spent so many years nurturing Lily, crafting a reality for her that prioritized love and simple joys, yet here was a chance to reconnect with a part of himself he had set aside. As he rounded the corner of the gym, searching for a moment of calm, his gaze caught on the colorful banner proclaiming Art Fair. It startled him into focus, pulling him from the swirling doubts. He could see Lily's artwork displayed proudly, a vibrant collage of hearts and stars that celebrated their little world together. A smile tugged at his lips, and for a brief moment, he felt anchored. This was what mattered. But then came the creeping realization: what about Sarah? Her problems seemed lofty compared to the daily grind of his life. Yet, the remnants of their shared past whispered promises of understanding, of power. What did it mean for him to step into her world, to bridge the gap with the tools he had gained from fatherhood? Tom clenched his fists, a determination rising within him. He had spent years honing a skill set beyond grease-stained hands. Every scraped knee he tended to, every bedtime story he created, had fortified a resilience within him that he had long dismissed. He had been patient, supportive, and an unwavering presence in Lily's life, a skill any fierce CEO would envy. If Sarah was facing an onslaught of challenges, maybe he could contribute without losing sight of his responsibilities. He knew what it felt like to overcome obstacles to build a life with limited resources and boundless love. Perhaps, just perhaps, he could offer her insights that echoed his own struggles, a safe harbor in a tempest. Resolute, he circled back, hoping to catch Sarah before she disappeared among the throng of parents and staff hastily chatting about politics and strategy. He spotted her on the edge of the gym, her hands clenched tight around a glass of water. The calm exterior belied the storm swirling within her. "Sarah," he interjected, his voice steady yet filled with urgency. "I want to help." The sincerity caught her off guard. "Help?" But she started, her brow furrowing in confusion. "I have no experience in the corporate world, but I know about rebuilding. I know about seeing past the surface to uncover solutions." His words hung in the air, laden with implications. Was he really stepping forward, ready to intermingle the threads of his life with hers? A flicker of curiosity ignited in her eyes. "Tom, this is unexpected. But I can't guarantee. I'm not asking for guarantees. Just let me assist." Her hesitation was palpable, yet he held steady, inviting her to share a load that felt impossibly heavy on her shoulders. What wasn't lost on either of them was the transformative potential of this moment. He was testing new waters, learning to navigate his own fears while smashing the shell of complacency he'd adhered to for years. What if taking this plunge, however risky it might feel, created pathways toward avenues he had long forgotten? As they moved deeper into conversation, both felt the flickering flame of possibility illuminate the shadows of doubt. If they surrendered to these newfound stirrings, who knew where it might lead? But layered beneath the excitement was the nagging question: could he really balance the demands of her crumbling empire and the changing face of fatherhood? In embracing the unknown, he was faced with the crux of his conflict, the choices he was willing to make in the coming days that could irrevocably alter his life. And long after their discussion wound down, the echoes of that choice lingered in the air. What would his next move be? The moment hung decisively at the precipice, waiting, urging him to act. Tom's mind raced as he tried to absorb the weight of his decision. He couldn't shake the feeling that he was straddling a line between the life he had carefully curated for himself and Lily, and this unforeseen venture into the corporate chaos that surrounded Sarah. A quiet war raged within him. His instinct for stability clashed with the blossoming ambition sparked by their conversation that he settled into a worn chair in the back of the gym, surrounded by remnants of hastily cleaned-up tables and the remnants of colorful art projects. The remnants of parental chatter about school budgets and strategic planning echoed like a distant riptide, drawing him out into unfamiliar waters. Opposite him, Sarah moved about, catching snippets of conversations here and there, her focus fragmented. Here was a woman he once knew intimately, who now commanded the space with a palpable urgency, her essence anchored in determination and resilience. This connection tied him to a past filled with warmth, but also warned him of the risks inherent in this new collaboration. As he absently traced the edge of a paper plate, an unfamiliar curiosity began to creep in. What if he could approach her world not as an outsider, but as someone who belonged? He had grown comfortable in the rhythm of home life, school drop-offs, piled-up laundry, and epic battles with homework. Yet, this moment beckoned him toward growth and experience in domains he had long relegated to the sidelines. "Tom." Sarah's voice cut through his thoughts, drawing him back. There was a searching vulnerability in her eyes, but he also sensed an underlying steeliness. This was a woman who had learned to fight for every inch, and somehow, he felt a surge of kinship. "You said you wanted to help," she ventured tentatively, as if testing the waters between them. "What does that mean for you?" "Honestly, it means I want to understand your challenges, he replied, surprised at the conviction in his voice. I can't promise corporate wizardry, but I have something to offer. I know about nurturing. About forging connections and collaborating, even with limited resources. Her gaze softened, and for a moment, it was as if their shared history pulled them into a cocoon, separate from the chaos that whirled around them. The energy shifted. They were not just two parents exchanging pleasantries anymore, but allies, sparking the possibility of something more profound. Okay, Tom, she replied slowly, let us explore what that looks like. He could feel the flutter of excitement rise within him. This wasn't merely a negotiation. It was an uncharted territory where he could make himself vulnerable in a whole new way. I've organized events before, he ventured, fundraisers for school, community potlucks. I can help bring voices together. Initiatives require a team, right? And team dynamics involve trust, she said, her expression shifting from doubt to intrigue. They exchanged ideas, and the conversation flowed as he spoke about his experiences navigating high-pressure situations, understanding differing perspectives, and the importance of open communication. She leaned in, mapping out her corporate vision, the struggles she faced in securing resources, the politics that loomed over her every strategy. Tom felt the pieces of his life, previously seen as inconsequential, snapping into place. It was here that he saw the harmonious intersection of past and present. The nurturing qualities he had cultivated at home were exactly what she needed in her tumultuous world. But amid the excitement lay a creeping sense of trepidation. What kind of commitment would this necessitate? With every passing moment spent deciphering Sarah's landscape, he realized just how deep the waters were and how easily he could drown in them if he wasn't careful. As they discussed potential strategies, Tom felt exhilarated yet cautious, aware that stepping into her realm meant confronting the limits of his own commitments. This was his chance for growth, but at what cost? The thrill of newfound purpose contrasted sharply with the looming prospect of his responsibilities to Lily. The moment hung thick with uncertainty. A choice loomed on the horizon that could redefine not only his future but also the stability of his home life. What lay ahead was uncharted, filled with uncertainty and potential revelation, and deep within, the nagging question persisted. Was he ready to risk everything he knew to embrace the unknown? As he met Sarah's eyes, they both understood. The next conversation they needed to have would delve into the complexities of balancing both their worlds. The stakes were rising, clarity was within reach, yet it felt elusive, lingering just beyond the horizon. What did collaboration truly demand from him? Would he emerge stronger or find himself lost once more? Tom woke the next morning enveloped in a swirling mix of excitement and dread. Sleep had come in fits, punctuated by dreams where he found himself drowning in a boardroom filled with sharp suits and accusatory stares. He sat up in bed, pulling a hand through his hair, forcing himself to push aside the anxieties that threatened to constrict him like a vice. Today marked a crucial turning point. As he prepared for the day, he scrutinized his reflection in the bathroom mirror. The familiar face that greeted him bore signs of the morning's disheveled hair, dark circles under his eyes from missed sleep. Yet beneath the fatigue lay a flicker of something new, determination. He was ready to transform his identity not just as a father, but as a collaborator and contributor in ways he had previously deemed impossible. Tom mustered his resolve and focused on the tasks ahead. He needed to present his ideas clearly to Sarah. The stakes were rising, and clarity was paramount. It was more than just a commitment, it was a bridge connecting his world at home with the complexities of Sarah's corporate chaos. He made a to-do list, reminding himself of the insights and experiences he had gained over the years while parenting and organizing at school. At the coffee shop, he sat, coffee steaming in front of him, reviewing the notes he had jotted down late into the night. As he progressed through his thoughts, he began to identify strengths that had lain dormant within him. He understood relationships deeply, had learned to negotiate needs, and had grown observant of unspoken dynamics, all necessary skill sets for the terrain he was about to navigate. When he met Sarah later that day at a cafe, the weight of his intention hung between them. They exchanged pleasantries, then effortlessly slipped into the business of brainstorming strategies. Tom felt exhilaration mount as they began to outline specific initiatives. He proposed monthly workshops aimed at fostering collaboration among local entrepreneurs, and Sarah expanded on the idea, suggesting a mentorship program. Mentorship can build a culture of trust and innovation, he mused, surprised by his own enthusiasm. He was no longer merely a spectator in her world, he was actively shaping it, yet, with each exchange, doubt victoriously interjected. The prospect of reconciling work and his commitments to Lily anchored his excitement with an unsettling weight. How would he explain his absence during crucial family moments? Would his new endeavor drain his energy and leave little for Lily, who depended on him? As Sarah described the immediate impact they could have on the community, Tom felt a dual rage inside him. The ambition to step into this bigger world collided with a primal instinct to protect what he had built at home. Tom. Sarah's voice brought him back, her brow furrowed as if she could sense his retreat. Are you with me? Yeah, just thinking, he replied, his mind racing. I love this vision. But how do I make sure I don't lose touch with the things that matter most at home? She leaned back, studying him thoughtfully. Finding balance is crucial. Maybe we can structure this so it fits your life, not the other way around? Her suggestion struck a chord. What if this was a chance to redefine his limits? He realized this process should incorporate Lily, establishing a connection between his new ambitions and his existing commitments. He could mentor her in this journey, imparting to her the values of hard work and community involvement. It was a win-win. The conversation shifted towards actionable steps, and excitement surged within him again. Ideas flowed, merging their visions into a cohesive plan, with each passing moment further cementing his role. Yet as they strategized, he recognized that initiating this change would also demand vulnerability, openness to missteps, and the potential for failure. With every twist and nuance of their discussions, Tom realized every human connection would test his priorities. The exhilaration of growth came with the sharp sting of fear. They wrapped up the meeting with a plan to pitch their new initiative to interested stakeholders, sealing their collaboration with a firm handshake. Afterward, Tom found himself standing at a crossroads, staring at the intersection of opportunity and obligation. As Sarah left, their eyes briefly locked, a silent understanding passing between them. It was clear they'd opened a door, one that could lead to uncharted territories, yet looming over him was the gravity of his choice. Would he be able to balance these emerging responsibilities without sacrificing his role as a father? In that moment, the question drilled into his psyche. What would happen if the very pursuit of ambition began to eclipse the joy of family? As he watched Sarah walk away, a flicker of apprehension snaked its way through him. Brimming with excitement but weighed down with doubt, he knew he had stepped fully into a storm. And now, he had to confront the most significant decision yet. How far was he willing to go for this new path he was forging? The following morning, Tom awoke with the fog of uncertainty settling into his chest. His mind raced, occupied by fleeting images of Sarah's animated expressions, the flow of their collaboration igniting something within him yet mixing that energy with a nagging sense of dread about his commitments at home. He took a deep breath, knowing that the excitement from the previous day couldn't coalesce into a sustainable plan without clarity. In his kitchen, the smell of burnt toast filled the air, an unintended reminder of how easily things could slip from his control. He glanced at the calendar on the wall, a visual reminder of the daily routine he had crafted with Lily. Homework sessions, soccer practice, and bedtime stories. Underneath these familiar tasks was a growing tension. The allure of his new venture threatened to unravel their comfortable rhythm. After resolving to prioritize Lily's needs, he made his way to her school's open house. The vibrant school hallways filled with bright drawings and chatter flooded him with nostalgia. He envisioned the many projects they had tackled together and realized this backdrop had always been a place of creativity and teamwork. But in the midst of that realization, a voice whispered doubt. Was he still capable of shaping this supportive environment? Or was he risking it all for a fleeting ambition? As he walked through the classes adorned with colorful artwork, he felt an urge to imprint these moments on his memory. Each step toward Lily's classroom felt like navigating uncharted waters. Parents around him engaged in casual discussions, showcasing their children's creations, and there he was, torn between two worlds, one filled with past achievements and the other brimming with promises of growth. His heart raced. Could he effectively bridge the gap between his aspirations and parental duties? Finding Lily among the sea of children was easier than he anticipated. Her laughter pulled him like a compass guiding him home. She sat at a small table, her eyes shining as she displayed her science project about volcanoes, brimming with enthusiasm. "Look, Daddy," she said, drawing him into her world. She explained chemical reactions with childlike precision, and for a moment, everything else receded. In her innocent joy, Tom found clarity. He recognized that sharing his new ambitions with Lily could foster bonding rather than division. What if he told her about his plans? What if they turned his enthusiasm into shared moments of discovery? A small voice inside him cautioned against overwhelming her with adult complexities, yet he couldn't ignore the excitement that sparked at the thought of inspiring her. That evening, after the open house, Tom sat with Lily during dinner. In a moment of calculated vulnerability, he began sharing snippets about the mentorship program he and Sarah were working on. He talked about the importance of teamwork and learning from others. Lily listened intently, her eyes wide with interest. "Can I be a part of it too?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper, but her determination palpable. "Of course. I'd love for you to help." A surge of pride blossomed within him. This could work. The realization that they could collaborate brought with it a newfound sense of belonging to both realms, fatherhood and professional ambition. However, as he retreated to his thoughts later that night, another layer of uncertainty emerged. Could he truly weave his professional aspirations with fatherhood seamlessly, or would it eventually unravel in chaotic threads? As the clock ticked, he wrestled with a thought that wouldn't leave him. What if his efforts to balance both worlds ultimately shattered the foundation he worked so hard to build? The tension that simmered beneath the surface threatened to boil over. Tom understood he was at the precipice of transformation, one that could either enhance the life he cherished at home or draw him away into an unforgiving void. By morning's light, he had no answers, only choices weighing heavily on his shoulders. Would he embrace the challenge and seek clarity amid chaos? Or would he retreat, allowing fear to dictate his potential? As he prepared for another day, Tom found a quiet resolve within him. He had ventured far into unfamiliar territory, and stepping back was not an option. Yet the path forward beckoned with an undeniable question: how much of his past was he willing to negotiate for his future? The sun broke through Tom's kitchen window, illuminating the clutter left from yesterday's chaos, a strong contrast to the clarity he had sought. As he poured himself a cup of coffee, the steam lifting in gentle swirls mirrored the continuous tug-of-war inside him. The promise of professional growth intertwined with his responsibilities as a father, creating a tapestry that felt both exciting and perilous. That he stared at Lily's handmade art taped to the refrigerator, the colorful scribbles vibrant with youthful exuberance, anchoring him momentarily. The juxtaposition of her innocence against the seriousness of his decisions weighed heavily. How could he protect her while also pursuing dreams he couldn't ignore? That afternoon, during lunch, he found himself lost in thought as he absent-mindedly stirred his soup. The mentorship program was no longer just a project, it morphed into a reflection of who he was and who he aspired to be. His phone buzzed, a message from Sarah lighting up the screen with questions about their upcoming meeting. Each ping ignited a reminder of his dual life. "Get it together, Tom," he mumbled to himself as he jotted down notes for their discussion, half-heartedly focusing on the details. What was he hoping to achieve? Winning accolades or creating something meaningful? Did anyone care about the awards when the hands that helped create them were also nurturing the next generation? Feeling reckless, he decided to take a stroll through the local bookstore before picking up Lily. He often found solace among the shelves lined with stories, words that felt far more cohesive than his own thoughts. As he wandered, he spotted a parenting section, cluttered with titles preaching balance and sacrifice. Picking one up, he flipped through the pages, searching for answers but finding more questions. The pressure to align personal ambition with parental responsibilities felt overwhelming, like trying to balance on a tightrope stretched across chasms of doubt and desire. A quiet revelation tugged at his mind. He had relied on external validation for too long. Instead of seeking approval from accolades or peers, what if he sought it from within? He wanted to teach Lily about resilience, creativity, and bravery, yet could he embody those values himself? The challenge he had to face was not just about professional development but a deeper transformation, one rooted in authenticity. As he left the bookstore, a plan began to form, not about pitching grand ideas to an audience of professionals but about how he could merge his new venture with tangible lessons for Lily. He envisioned a small project where they could both engage in learning, mapping out their own mentorship experience together, unraveling the beauty of collaboration, not just for himself but for her. "Dad?" The familiar voice pulled him back to reality. Lily stood there, backpack slung over one shoulder, wearing a bright smile that radiated joy. "Hey, sweetie. Did you have a good day?" She nodded enthusiastically, and as they walked home, he shared snippets about mentorship, incorporating the principles he wished to instill in a manner she could understand: curiosity, exploration, and the joy of learning together. That evening, Tom found himself illuminating the kitchen with laughter and conversation as Lily animatedly recounted her day. Suddenly, the looming storm within him quieted, replaced by a fledgling confidence. This was no longer just about maximizing time, it was about enriching connections. Later, as he reflected on their day, a thought anchored itself in his mind. He had often feared the possibility of failure in pursuing his dreams, but perhaps something more significant was at play: an opportunity to redefine what success looked like in his life. Each step toward his aspirations could spark something in Lily, a legacy of ambition and love, yet, as night enveloped the family home, doubt crept back in. Would this new approach withstand reality's trials? Was he strong enough to navigate the inevitable challenges of merging these separate worlds? Emboldened by today's clarity yet haunted by tomorrow's uncertainties, Tom knew he was standing at a crossroads, setting the stage for his next engagement. The moment was creeping closer. Would the realization of both his dreams and obligations prove to be an exhilarating journey, or would it fracture the fabric of his carefully built life? His heart beat in tandem with the ticking clock as he acknowledged his truth. The stakes were high, and now was not just the time to dream, but to act. On the brink of the unknown, the question lingered: was he ready to confront the realities that lay ahead, or would he find himself ensnared by the very fears he yearned to overcome? As dusk settled, painting the sky in shades of deep orange and purple, Tom found himself mapping out a strategy, a personal blueprint to blend his aspirations with fatherhood. He sat at the worn table, paper spread out in front of him, fingers tapping nervously against the wood. It was in the stillness of the evening that the promise of tomorrow began to shed light on what this journey may look like. His notes contained 2 columns, one labeled Project Mentorship and the other Lily. Each item under Project Mentorship was tinged with excitement but also bore the weight of uncertainty. Curriculum ideas, potential partnerships, and marketing strategies pulsed with energy, yet every stroke of the pen felt hopeful with a tinge of fear, that familiar apprehensive knot twist in his stomach. The other column focused solely on Lily. What to include? They both loved nature, so perhaps a project utilizing the local parks and exploration of science through their backyard investigations? Could they redefine mentorship as a shared experience rather than a top-down structure? The idea flickered like a candle struggling against the wind, fragile yet flickering with possibility. Just as he began to feel the excitement bubbling, a minor realization struck him. This wasn't merely about professional recognition or the pursuit of personal dreams. This was a chance to share experiences with Lily in a manner that would inspire her to carve her own path. He envisioned weekends spent in the sun, creating lessons from laughter and challenges faced along the way. It was more than mentorship, it was a partnership rooted in mutual growth. Still, flashes of self-doubt crept into his thoughts. What if Lily didn't take to the ideas? What if he failed to engage her the way he envisioned? Probing deeper, he knew that any perceived failure wouldn't just impact him. Would it shatter her view of ambition? His heart raced as he recognized the overwhelming responsibility that lay ahead, not just teaching concepts, but sculpting her identity alongside his own. That he considered how anxious he had been about this entire endeavor. The stakes felt higher now, not simply trying to impress colleagues or catch the eye of industry leaders, but attempting to ignite a passion within his daughter. He thought back to the parenting book he had skimmed, realizing that genuine effort often yielded richer results than perfect execution. Before he could lose momentum to his fear, he resolved to embrace the vulnerability that accompanied this journey. Perhaps they'd fail spectacularly one day, or maybe they'd unlock something miraculous in the exploration of potential. The thought brought an unexpected warmth to his heart. Failure, he suspected, might lead to lessons they both needed. Later that night, as Tom tucked Lily into bed, her small hand clasped tightly in his, he shared snippets of the project he had concocted. How about we become investigators, just like superheroes, exploring the world together? he suggested, breathless with enthusiasm. Her eyes sparkled. Can we find treasure too? Absolutely, he replied, his heart swelling. He watched her as she settled under the sheets, floating off into a dreamy sleep, blissfully unaware of the subtle shift occurring within her father. A thread connecting their lives began weaving tighter, a fusion of hope, challenge, and undying love. As he brushed his hand against her forehead, a new understanding crystallized, a fundamental shift. His professional aspirations and his role as a parent were not mutually exclusive, but intertwined. Yet, just as he felt a moment of unyielding resolve wash over him, a wave of anxiety resurfaced, crashing over his self-assurance. The reality of disappointments he had witnessed loomed ominously. The risks echoed back. Balance had never come easy for him, and what if their journey shattered more than it built? With the culinary aroma of possibility in the air, Tom took solace in the fact that self-exploration often led to discovery and, more significantly, growth. He was on the precipice of crafting their future. Together, a patchwork of mentorship that may yield something extraordinary for both. But as he turned off the lights, his heart thundered. Was he ready to commit fully or retreat into the safe shadows of doubt? The promise of change beckoned temptingly, yet the haunting question loomed large. Would the risks be worth the rewards, or would they lead him down a path filled with regret? In that vulnerable silence, Tom stood once more at a crossroads, contemplating the reality of their impending adventures. What awaited him on this uncharted course, and would he summon the courage to step forward into the unknown? The sun peeked through the curtains, illuminating Tom's handwritten notes spread across the table. Morning light ignited a sense of urgency within him. Today was the day he would present the early framework of his mentorship project to his co-workers at the education center. Standing before a room of potential collaborators loomed as both an opportunity and a terrifying prospect. He tightened his grip on the coffee mug, breathing in its familiar aroma, and considered the very concept of mentorship. How many illusions were wrapped into that word? Was it about guiding, or was it about sharing experiences? Perhaps it was time to redefine his approach, both for himself and for Lily. As the clock ticked closer to the meeting, he questioned his preparedness. Would his ideas resonate, or would they be met with indifference? The what-ifs buzzed like angry bees. He thought about Lily's shining eyes when he had told her about their investigative adventures. Her enthusiasm was a compass, pointing him toward the authenticity he needed in this presentation. He made his way to the center, his knees shaking slightly as he approached the conference room. The participants were shuffling in, exchanging pleasantries, and he felt a familiar wave of self-doubt once more cascade through him. Tom swallowed hard, the mantra repeating in his mind, "Stay committed." His confidence was linked to a deeper understanding of how vulnerability could wield strength. As he took his seat, he noticed a colleague, Sandra, who had left her successful corporate career to pursue education. She had a reputation for being direct, her honesty often cutting through the usual bureaucratic niceties that plagued their meetings. Tom felt a mix of admiration and trepidation. Would she challenge his ideas or uplift them? When it was his turn to speak, the words poured out with a nerve-wracking blend of passion and fear. He unveiled his vision for project mentorship, emphasizing the collaboration aspect with Lily, illustrating desire for mutual growth, not hierarchy. Various responses echoed against the conference room walls. Questions about logistics, partnerships, and engagement strategies flowed. Tom, how do you plan on measuring success? How will we know if this reshapes our understanding of mentorship? Sandra's voice cut through his confidence, and he felt the moment freeze. That question reverberated inside him. Despite feeling blindsided, he responded, "Success isn't just about metrics. It's rooted in engagement, enthusiasm, and cultivating curiosity. If Lily and I thrive in exploring together, how can that foster the same energy here?" He realized then that this defense of his vision was not simply about work. It mirrored what he envisioned for his relationship with his daughter. Those words could have been plucked right from the heart of their father-daughter adventure. Moving through the meeting, he witnessed subtle nods of agreement from several colleagues, their interests piqued. Yet, the unrelenting tension remained, with Sandra eyeing him, awaiting more. "I must admit," she began, leaning in, "mentorship is essential, but we need outcomes. Are you prepared for when your ideas might not pan out? When the careful structure collapses?" Her challenge struck deeper, igniting a spark of vulnerability he'd avoided. Tom contemplated the reality of failure. He thought of Lily, her sweetness, and the lessons that awaited them, regardless of setbacks. Absolutely. I expect challenges, he replied, his fretting diminished. We both learn when faced with adversity, and it's how we handle those experiences that matter. As discussions continued, Tom felt a shift in the atmosphere, a collaborative pulse, reflective of the feelings he hoped to cultivate with Lily. But as he left the meeting, a new urgency brewed inside him. Would he take whatever collective ideas sprung from this experience and blend them into their father-daughter adventure? Driving home, adrenaline coursed through his veins, and he felt gratitude for engaging with such challenging questions. Yet, another question lingered. Unbidden, what if this mentor-mentee bond led him to face expectations he hadn't yet prepared for? As he parked, ready to share insights with Lily, invigorated by the day, another wave of uncertainty overtook him. What if their explorations revealed more than simply knowledge and passion? What if they unearthed insecurities that were too painful to face? The moment he stepped inside, Tom realized their journey was stirring his own transformation, raising the stakes considerably. Would this mentorship redefine not just his role as a father but also who he was? What awaited him in the rediscoveries of their relationship? The path ahead was unclear, but the adventure beckoned him fiercely. As Tom entered his home, the warmth of the space enveloped him like a comforting blanket. The familiar chaos of toys scattered across the living room welcomed him, grounding him after the charged atmosphere of the meeting. With a deep breath, he approached Lily, who was sprawled on the floor with a colorful array of building blocks. Her concentration was palpable. "Hey, sweetheart," he said, kneeling beside her. "What are you building?" She looked up, her face lighting up. "It's a spaceship. And it can go anywhere, like into outer space." "Incredible," he replied, studying her creation. It was a chaotic structure, a reflection of her imagination, unapologetically vibrant. Did he dare to dream that her indomitable spirit could guide their explorations together? His mind swirled with the remnants of his discussion about mentorship, the importance of integrity and outcomes echoing in his thoughts. He envisioned the framework he planned to incorporate, not just the intellectual pursuit of knowledge but also the tangible, messy reality of building this mentorship alongside Lily. "Can I help you with the spaceship?" he asked, eager to dive in. "Sure. It needs more rocket boosters," she said, handing him a few blocks. As they built, he contemplated the notion Sandra had thrown at him earlier about facing expectations and potential failure. What if his ideas didn't land? Could they navigate through the rubble together? "Dad," Lily began, her serious expression breaking through her delight, "how do you know if you're doing a good job?" His throat tightened at the unexpected weight of her question. Did she sense his own doubts? Was this a reflection of their exploration into mentorship, where he would not just lead but be led by her innocent yet profound insights? "Sometimes, it's about how we feel," he replied, unsure if he was communicating clearly. "If we feel happy creating and learning together, that can be a sign we're on the right track." Lily nodded, her expression still thoughtful. He recognized that she was processing more than she let on, absorbing not just blocks, but lessons. Could she grasp the complexity of expectations and outcomes at her young age? "What if I feel sad or don't like it?" she asked, her eyes searching his for reassurance. "Then we talk about it, just like I did in the meeting today." "It's okay to feel unsure sometimes," he said, realizing the irony of his own education in that moment. "And we figure it out together. That's what mentorship is, finding what works for us." Her small hands paused, skyward with her own new ideas. "And if it doesn't work, we keep trying. Like the spaceship." Tom felt a swell of pride. Exactly. The important part is to keep exploring and learning, no matter what happens. As they continued building the spaceship, he found himself becoming lost in the simplicity of the moment, reflecting on how this project of mentorship coincided with being a father. Would he have the courage to embrace uncertainty, to model resilience in their shared journey? That evening, after Lily had fallen asleep, he sat on the couch, reviewing his notes again. His purpose sharpened by the questions he now faced, he recognized the emerging lesson wasn't just about teaching, it was about learning to navigate deeper connections and confronting vulnerabilities he had long skirted around. He felt a mixture of determination and fear coursing through him, as the realization settled this journey would challenge not just their relationship but also his understanding of himself. A sudden rustle outside caught his attention, pulling him from his thoughts. He peered through the window to see a familiar face. It was Sandra, walking her dog past his house, her strides resolute. Tom's mind raced with unanswered questions. Would he reach out to her for further clarification on challenges ahead? What if her straightforwardness could provide the edge he needed to refine both his project and his personal growth? Something shifted within him. A resolve was forming. The time had come to face a new challenge, a confrontation not only with his insecurities but with the standards he had set for himself and those they would build together. He took a deep breath, replaying the day's interactions in his mind. The unanswered question lingered: the depth of vulnerability he would have to embrace to truly connect with Lily and redefine his role as a mentor. Would he be able to face both their fears and expectations head-on? Sitting in the quiet solitude of the evening, Tom felt the pull of the adventure only just beginning, igniting within him a fierce determination to discover where their journey would ultimately lead. As Tom awoke on the morning of their first mentorship project, the sun streamed through the curtains with a renewed brightness, signaling a fresh beginning for both him and Lily. The adrenaline was coursing through his veins. Yesterday's conference room discussions and his heartfelt exchanges with Lily felt like distant memories. Today, they were taking tangible action, embarking on the creative adventure they had dreamed of together. With a determined resolve, Tom prepared a simple breakfast of scrambled eggs and toast, even adding a sprinkle of cheese to his daughter's plate, a small gesture that spoke of his care and commitment. Lily joined him at the table, her sleepy eyes lighting with excitement as she worked through their plan together. "Are we really going to explore the parks today?" she asked, her enthusiasm infectious. "Absolutely. This is where we can discover new things and learn as a team," he replied. The flow of their conversation became a ritual for him, intertwining the worlds of fatherhood and ambition seamlessly. He had harnessed the very connection that had once haunted him, the fear of choosing between personal aspirations and the nurturing bond with his daughter. Today, they would cultivate that bond through shared experiences. As they ventured into the fragrant embrace of the local park, Tom felt the tension from his earlier doubts dissipate. They were equipped not only with adventurous spirits but also with a collection of colorful, handmade notebooks that embodied their explorations. The world spread before them like a canvas, and every tree, flower, and splash of sunlight provided opportunities for discovery. Their first station was a community garden, buzzing with life. "Let us see if we can find a flower we've never seen before," Lily exclaimed, gleefully dashing ahead. As he watched her delight, a realization surged within him: mentorship wasn't merely about guiding, it was about exchanging curiosity and wonder. This journey would require vulnerability, not just for himself, but for Lily too. By midday, they had collected sketches, pressed flowers, and stories, each element underscoring the lessons they had absorbed together. With every line drawn, every word written, Tom didn't merely teach, he demonstrated the importance of exploration, resilience, and the shared joy of creation. They sat on a picnic blanket under a sprawling oak tree, reviewing their findings. "Look, Dad. This one looks like a star." Lily beamed, extending a special flower towards him. "Just like you," he replied, recognizing her profound spark. "You shine bright, and we're only beginning to explore the universe of ideas out there." In that moment, he felt a deep-seated pride, no longer merely the man trying to bridge two disparate worlds, but a father who was flourishing alongside his daughter. As she flipped through their notebook, a serious expression crossed her face. "Dad, do you think we can finish our spaceship before school's gardening day?" she asked, her little brow furrowed with the weight of expectations. "Of course we will," he promised, soothing both her fears and his own uncertainties. "Remember what we talked about? We're going to keep trying, no matter what." The significance of those words resonated deep within him. It wasn't just a reflection of their plans, but a billowing affirmation of commitment to face challenges together. After their day of exploration, as they strolled home under the fading colors of dusk, Tom's heart swelled. He didn't need accolades from professionals. The real validation, he realized, came from the laughter shared and the connection deepened. They lingered over each moment that spun into laughter. The little girl who imagined buildings in their shared dream world was proving to him that ambition wasn't just about professional success but a holistic fulfillment intertwining with love. That night, he sat at a kitchen table again, papers strewn about, reflecting on their incredible day. He compared their findings to the frameworks he'd sketched for Project Mentorship, a project now painted vividly with the colors of their adventure. The past few days had transformed him. Instead of fear of ridicule or potential failure, he now basked in the satisfaction of nurturing an endeavor that encompassed both his professional ambitions and the joy of fatherhood. He resolved to reach out to Sandra the next day, not for fear of facing scrutiny or challenge, but with excitement and passion to seek deeper insight into their shared goal of mentorship. Tom felt solid confidence building, crossing the threshold into a world that was shaped by his continuous growth and his daughter's innocent curiosity. As they wound down their evening, Tom tucked Lily into bed and kissed her forehead. "I love you, sweetheart," he whispered, seeking to encapsulate the love he held for her but also the pride he felt in himself. Each moment of self-discovery and courage built toward a new foundation of their relationship, and it felt achingly beautiful. "Love you too, Dad. Can we explore tomorrow again?" she asked, clearly yearning for another adventure. "Yes," he said, smiling. "We can keep exploring together." He closed the door quietly and stood in the hallway, poised for another day filled with discoveries and growth. For the first time, Tom felt like he had truly achieved something, a newfound calling that celebrated his roles as a father and an aspiring contributor. He realized that mentoring Lily meant demonstrating harmony between professional aspirations and personal commitments, carving a path together through the unknown with fervor. In this transformative moment, he proved that the essence of ambition flourished not in isolation but in authentic companionship. And with that clarity came the jubilant knowledge: he was ready for whatever lay ahead. Now, this is your moment. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive emotional stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm, comment your reactions and theories about the ending below, and share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. Don't wait even one more second. Show your support for personal overcoming stories.